the hell is that? It's Shin-Chan? Oh, it is. That's hilarious. All right, welcome to episode 184 of the Zenspath Entertainment Network Podcast. I'm your host, Jeremy Powers, and joining me once again is Steven.
Happy holidays.
What? And Chase.
I come from a land down under.
Just not the one you're thinking of. It's in the area, but not that one. Yeah, if you try and call it that, I have a feeling Chanel would lose her mind.
Yeah.
No, she's not a big fan of that. All right. We have a fairly light news week this week, so we'll be kind of just talking about some stuff and having our fun little discussion. And for once, Chase has an answer for the big question this week because he thought of the damn thing himself. So,
Ascended.
To be fair, Steven and I purposely did not come up with answers. We're going to wing it just to let him know how it feels.
Yeah, fuck the guy who made these questions, you know?
It's just better than, like, what was, like, your most favorite, like, fucking toilet break in video gaming or something like that.
Cereal soup. Anyway.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to come... Because the sad thing is I can actually think there are a couple of toilet breaks in games you could come up with. Because you've got, you know...
Duke Nukem.
No More Heroes.
Gear,
That's how you
Duke
save.
Nukem. Friggin' what was it? Not Zombie Army, but what was the other one?
There's horror games now, Chase, where you have to piss, but you have to be quiet about when you piss because you might die.
Well, there's the other zombie game we've been playing recently. Not Dying Light. Damn it! So many zombie games. The one we've been playing.
State of Decay.
State of Decay, where you could go up to the toilets and the sinks and stuff and mess with things, and yeah. So this wandered into a weird conversation. Let's move on about what we've been doing other than our bathroom habits. So Chase, we'll have you start us off. What you've been doing?
Been playing a little bit of Tecmo Bowl off and on, getting back into it because
Nice.
It's always a classic.
Playing it on the Switch.
Yeah. And then I've also been, now that because the beta opened up about 2 days ago, so I've been playing the Battlefield 6 beta again. It's their open beta weekend too. Really enjoying it. I've had some pretty awesome moments that I've got to clip, so I'll have to actually start sending some clips out of what I've actually accomplished. But
throw them up on the Discord. We can see them.
I'm actually pretty pleased overall with this game. Looking forward to I've actually done something I haven't done in a while. I've actually pre-ordered a game. I like it. I'm set.
Nice.
So I'm enjoying it. I haven't really found a game I've been kind of wanting a game like this for a while, so I'm excited for it. I'll have to see if the single player campaign's co-op.
Yeah, when you told me that they did have a single player, I think that was the final deal where I was like, I'm going to go ahead and try and get it too, just to give it a shot. Because I have liked a lot of the older Battlefield games as well. And the fact that they had talked about some of it kind of being inspired from Bad Company, and I was like, that's all I needed to hear.
Funny news? Did you hear the funny news about Battlefield 6?
Oh, God, what?
You cannot play Battlefield 6 and Valorant at the same time.
What?
And here's why. The head of Riot Games anti-cheat team, Philip Koskinas, had confirmed why you can't have Battlefield 6 and Valorant running at the same time. It involves a clash between EA's Javelin anti-cheat and Riot's Vanguard anti-cheat. They don't like each other.
Interesting. Well, it's a good thing I don't play Valorant.
I mean,
Valorant's still around?
Yeah, you shouldn't be playing both at the same time anyways. That's one of
Yeah.
those weird challenges. Like, can you play both games at once?
I think it's people who have like the launchers like ready for it or something. I don't know, but they're like, I can't run at the same time. Like,
I know Shroud still plays Valorant, so I think like there's quite a few like high profile people that still play it.
That's funny. Oh God. Steven, what about you? What you been doing?
I've been playing ZZZ, but
Good. I'm glad you finally started that.
Yeah, I'm starting to get into it. You know,
I know it's been suggested to you a few times. It's good to see you picking it up.
However, my playing of it has been minimal because once I found out that, at least right now, they said it was limited time, but I don't know for sure. But they released a demo for Hell Is Us that we saw at one of the presentations, whatever. Game Awards.
One of the many.
And I was like, okay, let me give this a shot. I thought it was a Souls-like. I can't say if it is yet. But what I do like about it is the first time you start playing the demo, it warns you that we're not going to tell you where to go. There's no UI that tells you where to go. There's nothing that tells you what your objective is. Everything is remembered by what you get from conversations and gets added to your data pad as what you've learned. And you have to go back and like ask them. So when I began the game, you could get lost in the forest, but if you talk to the guy, he says, well, here's the key to where my farm is. My sons always used to get lost, so I put wind chimes on the specific trees. So then you're looking for wind chimes or listening for them because it does directional audio. So you're
nice.
like, where's the wind chime coming from? And then you have another guy who has his eyes clawed out. Long story. But then from that one, he's just like, yeah, our camp's over here where the med kit is. So we wouldn't get lost. We marked the trees with an X. So then you're looking at the trees looking for the X that they purposely put on there. So there's like little key things you have to remember. I just started getting like the weapons because you can't attack until you get a weapon. Even though the guy's been holding onto a gun but never told me. you get a cutscene and suddenly he has a gun. And I'm like, okay, and the gun doesn't work. And then somebody saves you, and then you have a weapon after that. So I was like, okay, this is interesting. So I want to see if it is Souls-like. I want to get to the first like major boss fight because all the normal things you fight are just fine by me. They don't bother me. They're not hard to beat. So I was just like, I want to see if the game gets hard.
Okay.
But I just love it that they tried a new thing and they're like, we're not going to tell you anything. The screen is pretty much free of any kind of UI or everything. It's just you in the wilderness half the time. I'm like, okay.
I'll have to check that out. So for me, I've been playing Donkey Kong Bonanza since launch, and I finally finished it just the other day, or finished the main story. Let me clarify that, because you finished the main story, which, by the way, has a fantastic twist I was so happy about, that I kind of was wondering about earlier, and I didn't actually think they were going to pull it off or do it, and they did, so that's cool. But I don't want to spoil that for those that haven't played it. It's a great surprise that I was happy not to know about. But there is a whole other story after the main game, which is when it gets really freaking difficult. There's different challenge rooms and so forth that you unlock as you're going back through earning new abilities. So even if you maxed out the abilities, you go back and visit some of the animal kings and stuff like that and can go through their challenges to unlock the ability to have a golden skill for each of your animals. And I've got the first one, which basically lets you amp up the gorilla shape, the DK one that you have, that when you do the charge punch and you punch, the wake of it turns everything it hits into gold. So it's just kind of a fun way to add that in and add even more gold to your attacks. I have no idea what the other ones have yet. I'm looking forward to finding it.
Yeah, I never finished the metagame of Odyssey when they're like, take on the boss tower. I was just like, I'll try. And I was like, no.
I do love the fact, like, people were talking about where does this fit in the timeline. And I will say it is directly attached to Odyssey, which is really fun. Like, I love how they did it. So if it's worth playing 100%, it's probably one of the best Switch 2 games you could get right now. Like, I've enjoyed Mario Kart World. Cyberpunk's been a lot of fun, things like that. This is the first really big, I think everybody should play title. And I get why they waited. Like, Mario Kart was the one you want to have day one for people to use it for all the different features. But I will cave to what Rachel originally said. This should have been a launch title because it is such a big game, but it doesn't have the biggest multiplayer. And I understand that's what they were trying to push. But I mean, you had to wait 1 month. You're fine. Like, the Switch 2's only been out for like 2.5 months. It hasn't even been that long. So I'm looking forward to see where they go after this, but definitely get that game. It's a lot of fun. But speaking about getting games, you may not want to get them from GameStop, because now we are going on 3 weeks since you two surprised the shit out of me by pulling up your copy of Soul Reaver, and I went live on the show. where the hell did you guys get those? Like, because they only had 2 pre-orders for that game, and only one got sent to them, and they gave it to somebody else. And I've been waiting for 3 weeks for them to get me another copy, and they have not even so much as been sent or been told that one's coming in. So Amanda, I love her to death, my wife, decided to screw it and just ordered me one, and it'll be here tomorrow. So I'll finally get to play this on the Switch tomorrow, which I've been really looking forward to.
Why don't you just make things right? Order one from another company, get it at your store, and make your customer happy instead of being like, I don't know when it's coming.
So I ended up canceling the pre-order for that. I moved it over to a few other things because I'm still friends with some of these guys. But while I was out that day checking a few of the other local stores to see if they had Soul Reaver, which nobody does, it is sold out everywhere for most places, I found 2 of the really big Transformers I've been trying to wait for the pre-orders. They're like almost $100 each. And I said, screw it. And I went ahead and bought them because I found them both at Target. So I now have the double set for Devastator. So now I have 4 out of the 6 Constructicons for Devastator, which is great. We're still waiting on the other 2 to even become available to pre-order.
Nice.
And then I also got the main part of Silverbolt, which was for the aerial bots, Superion. So I have 3 of 5 out of this one. So I have 3/5 of him. So
you just reminded me of something.
Oh, God. This should be interesting because, Steven, I don't think you normally collect Transformers. So I'm very
Not
curious.
Transformers, but toy.
Yeah, toys are awesome. On a side note, not attached to the whole GameStop pre-order debacle, though, I did also pick up Perceptor, who comes with Ramhorn and Ratbat, which is kind of a fun little extra set. Like I said, I've been working on the 1986 line as they're going to be the main Transformer set that I display now because I love how they look. Like that's a great coloring job on Perceptor. It looks really good.
I got the
what you got?
First Capcom less legally distinct game reverse. So I got War Machine versus Omega Red.
Nice.
They do give you the actual what looks like their artwork on the side.
Oh, that is too, yeah.
They give you like them fighting in the training room and stuff. But they're not allowed to put Capcom anywhere. They're not allowed to put Marvel versus Capcom anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
None of the logos or anything like that. They had to rename one of the characters that I'm getting. But yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Gargantos.
Yeah, because they lost the original rights to the name they used back in the game in the comics. That's a whole weird thing.
I also ordered Juggernaut from GameStop. I hope they don't sell it to somebody else.
Now, mind you, they didn't sell my copy. They just 2 people pre-ordered. Only 1 showed up, and they got it first. And they never told me.
Wolverine versus Silver Samurai. I'm probably going to order because that one's the easiest to come by because it's not store exclusive. The hardest one to find right now is Thanos versus Psylocke, which is exclusive to Target. And while some Targets have plenty and people have posted about it, my Target still has none. So
I haven't seen a single one. I was honestly shocked that they had these Transformers there. So I was like, we're putting these on the credit card. Like, I don't want to risk it. This is the first and only time I've seen them. Let's just get them now and get it over with. So I'm happy to get that. I'm waiting on the last 2, which is, I think, Mixmaster and I can't remember the other one for those. And then the other 2 aerial bots. I'm waiting. All 4 of those haven't even become available for pre-order from Hasbro yet. And then next up, I ended up finally playing Bakaru. I picked it up after messaging Steven going, you mentioned this. Is it good?
Good feel.
Yeah, it is. It's good feel. It's a very colorful game, and I do like it. The sense of humor is childish, and I find it hilarious. I did not expect the poop jokes of little people that give you Japanese facts, which is really funny. But I am liking the little Japanese facts as I get because you're literally playing through Japan, through the different regions.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a fun game. I played through the first couple of levels. It runs beautifully on the Switch too. But I went ahead and gave up the game today and let Jennifer start playing it, and she is in love with it. She absolutely loves how it looks, how it plays. She's on an original Switch 1, and she's not having any problems with it. So
yeah, it still plays nice.
Yeah, she doesn't really frame rate adjustments and stuff like that don't really bug her that much. the girl's mostly blind anyways, so she can play the Switch because she has it right in her face.
Daddy, why is this 810p?
Yeah, I don't know. But I'm glad I ended up picking it up. It's a lot of fun, and I think I will go through and kind of maybe finish it more later. And then lastly, I picked up Macross Shooting Insight. I pre-ordered this one just because I remember the Macross games, and I remember it as Robotech from back in the day. I had some of the toys and things for it. While it is a fun shooter in its own right, I have very different memories of the whole Macross series because I did not realize it was that involved with like singers and things. Because Robotech didn't really cover that much for what I remember seeing, but that's a whole thing between Harmony Gold and that whole legal standing is a mess. My youngest son loves to go and explain that because we talk about it on occasion, but it's not a bad shooter. I like vertical and horizontal shooters, so I figured why not. And then right before we started the show, probably about an hour and a half before we started, I finally booted up Shadow Labyrinth for the first time. And I have to say that game is gorgeous. I love the art style and the way it's animated. I know it's kind of like that stylized layered effect, but it has a very, very beautiful art style to how everything is handled. But it can get dark and vicious. That first time that Puck like takes over your body and like comes out and like eats the first boss, you're just like, holy shit, that is dark and creepy. Like it's almost demonic the way it looks, which is awesome. You're just like, Pac-Man's he's a little freak there.
It's canon now.
Yeah. How far into this have you played so far, Steven?
I got to the next zone, so I'm out of the caves.
Okay.
That's where I came across the problem where like you can't teleport to a different zone if you die. So if you get a checkpoint but you don't get a saved checkpoint,
mm-hmm.
and you decide that because there's certain areas you want to go back to, you then have to go all the way to the next zone again. So I'm hoping they eventually like fix some of the spacing between checkpoints, because I was just like, even Dark Souls isn't this mean.
Yeah, that does sound kind of rough. I'm hoping that's not the case.
Because that's what the reviews even said, that the game is unforgiving at times. And I was like, you hit the nail on the head.
Well, we'll see how long I actually stick with it. I mean, like, I'm impressed with what I've seen. If it becomes one of those where it inconveniences me too much, I will just kind of naturally go, I have an entire wall of other things. Let's move on to something else. Because that's what happened with Donkey Kong. Like, I've been playing it, and I absolutely loved it. And I put so much time into it. And then I got to one of the big first challenge areas you unlock after the main game, and it's 13 fights that you have to do in a row. And you have to do all 13 fights nonstop. And what pissed me off is like you get through 4 fights, it'll pop you back out, you get some bananas, and I was like, all right, cool. It's kind of like a checkpoint. And I go back in, and you don't know what you're getting into each time. You've got seconds to figure it out. So it's so much trial and error. But anytime you fail, you have to start completely over again. So I had to go through that first grouping over and over again. And I was just like, nah, I'm good. I'm probably going to just look it up, find out what the fights are. And then, because it's already enough of a challenge when you know what to do timing wise, but I don't want to have to go through, 10 or 11 fights in a row just to figure out the trick to the 12th and 13th fights. This is the very first challenge group. I think there's more after that. I'll finish the story, but I was like, all right, cool. This is where I take a break from Donkey Kong.
Yeah, Jinkies, that sounds rough.
It is, and I'm okay with them having that challenge. It does not, like, the game is well balanced. I had fun with all the bosses and all the levels and exploration, as it should be. This is like their version of those final 11 levels in Mario Odyssey, where it's just like, good luck.
I was like, nope, I got better things to do.
Right. I hope you've mastered every bit of this, because you're going to need every single trick. So, who knows? All right, let's jump over to our little bit of the group chat for this week. Jinkies. So Zombie Army 4, we've still been continuing with our zombie shenanigans. Still continuing to have issues where one of us will shoot somebody and go, "You blew off his ankle." No, that was a headshot. No, it wasn't.
Or we'll stare at you and it'll be like, you stopped playing right in front of me. And then you started playing again. And then one of us got kicked. This time it wasn't me. I was so proud.
I think I got kicked twice.
We should just make a drinking game.
God, I don't drink that much. Oh my God, I would be trashed.
Take
really
a shot
fast.
every time you kick from the game.
How did Jeremy die? We are
Zombie
being
Army
legally held
4.
responsible. Oh man. I don't know. Like, I'm enjoying it though. Like, we're still going through and kind of messing with the missions. We went through the level that had the zoo in there, and then I think, what was it, Chase? You had to go do something for a little bit, so you wandered off. And then there's one area right towards the end of it. It's like if you jump down into it, we found out the hard way, you can't get back out. But there's things that keep throwing grenades at us. And we can't see them, so we're like having to wait for you to come back while we're stuck
And as soon as Jeremy's like, all right, I'm going to kill myself, we hear, all right, I'm back. And he's like, well, now I'm dead.
Oh, man.
Yeah, I had to do the laundry.
It's as glitchy and weird as this game has been. It has been a lot of fun. Like, we're laughing the entire time at the stupidity.
Of course, I will say they kept the State of Decay lore alive, and that whole time in the zoo, we didn't fight any zombie animals.
Yeah. And the other thing, too, is it's a good thing I didn't drop down with you guys, and I did stay away because then I found the hand.
Found the hand, yeah. That was almost a lost cause. We're like, we're never going to find it. And then you're like, oh, hey.
Because I thought it would be in one of the cages, but I guess I missed it when you saw the bird. So good on you on that one.
Some of them are hidden very, very well.
I have to say the hands, like the things they have him doing sometimes, like sometimes they're just basic. I'm walking back and forth on a wire or doing something. Yeah. But some of them have
Chase found the best one so far with playing rock, paper, scissors with a crow. So,
well, I wish you guys could have seen it. I found one that was in like a little boat with one of those dolls, and he's like rowing the boat around in a circle, like trying to romance it. And then whenever you shoot him, the doll like puts its hands up and the boat sinks. It's just like, okay.
Yeah, the dolls are equally as freaky.
Yeah.
But they don't do anything
Speaking of boats, like we all had to stop and go look at the Titanic zombies. Yeah. Like there's a wrecked ship that had like this death looking thing holding up another one with its arms outspread.
They're king of the world.
Yeah.
That was great.
I love the sense of humor of this developer. Like Rebellion is becoming a favorite of mine just from playing this stuff with you guys, which has got me to go back and start getting more of their things, going like, no, I really like what these guys do. So awesome.
I kind of want to try Atomfall at some point.
It's good.
It's good. It's just there's so much to do.
It is so British.
British
Fallout. And you have to understand their language. Otherwise, I turned on the subtitles and it helped. But
yeah, it's got some challenges. It's a little janky for certain stuff, but I kind of get it.
Fun of Rebellion without the bullet cam. So yeah, so think of older Rebellion games that you'd play that were shooters. It's not quite Rogue Trooper, but it's fun because it's Rebellion.
And I know people call it British Fallout, but it is actually a really good kind of game in that style, but not as focused as Fallout. Fallout's more of like the radiation and all that. This is more of like British life trying to deal with everything going to shit.
Go Game Pass. You can try it any time, Chase.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's worth getting. I mean, trying out. So, and I kind of like the rule you guys have. If it's Rebellion, you just get it and you trust it'll be good. Like I think we all. Yeah, that would be a big question that we should talk about. Is like developers we just trust inherently.
Yeah, we have that big question.
I'm about to say we have had that one happen. We have a lot. We're 184 episodes into this version. Yeah, we talk a lot.
Yeah, I just ordered the because they had it on discount. I ordered the physical of Resistance.
Jason
Statham.
Nice.
Because they had a PS5 Deluxe Edition, so it had some of the DLC. So I was like, okay. And I have all the other ones on PlayStation, so I was like, okay.
Yeah, I've been working through some of the Sniper Elites and stuff on the Switch because they do play a lot better on the Switch too now. So since I've been finding them, I'm like, all right, why not? All right, so you guys want to talk about some news this week? So after questionable practices, possible lies about how much money they bring in, and some questionable development practices around their upcoming marathon, Sony will be wrangling in Bungie's independence by folding them into PlayStation soon. Yeah, that's how Steven feels about this story.
Yeah.
So CFO Lin Tao stated on a recent investment call, quote, "About the governance of Bungie, at the time of acquisition, we were offering an independent environment. So that was one way of thinking. However, we have gone through structural reform, as we announced last year. So this independence is getting lighter, and Bungie is shifting into a role which is becoming more part of PlayStation Studios, and integration is proceeding in the long term. You can see this as an ongoing process. So the direction is to become part of PlayStation Studios." So Bungie, for all of their, clout and talk about how we're still independent, we purchased by Sony, has drastically messed up in the past couple of years and caught kind of lying about their finances and other things. Most notably also that the past few years, they've had a lot of Bungie's leadership leave, like Destiny creative heads Luke Smith and Mark Noseworthy, former Destiny 2 director Joe Blackburn, and then Sony forced out Marathon director Chris Barrett after a misconduct investigation, which Chris is still involved in a lawsuit against Sony and Bungie because he claims that they still owe him money for the Bungie sale to begin with. So do we think Bungie is pretty much going to be gutted at this point? Go ahead, Steven.
Yes, 1,000%. Because just recently as well, do you guys remember the Sony game Fair Games with the $ for the S?
No.
There you go. Well, it's a competitive heist game developed by Haven Studios, a PlayStation Studios company, and it's supposed to be the modern take on the heist genre. And the analyst that everybody loves to hate or hates to love or whatever, Michael Proctor, on one of his podcasts was talking about how bad that game was doing and how that game's going to get shut down or canceled and the studio being removed. And then he recently came out and he's like, I misspoke. And I'm like, you probably got in trouble. So don't be surprised if we hear that Fair Games is the next game to get canceled from Sony. And who's going to get absorbed or not absorbed. They're already with PlayStation Studios, or who's going to get fired.
Right.
Because they're trying to make live happen when, stop trying to make live happen.
Do you think they would go so far as to dissolve the actual Bungie name and just bring them in-house?
Absolutely. They already said that they already said that there's a planned name for them. It was like PlayStation Studios, like Dakota or something weird.
Oh, I hate when they do that. It's like, you can come up with better creative names than that. Like, Rockstar's just really bad about it too. If you got Rockstar North, Rockstar West, just come up with other names. Got any thoughts on this one, Chase, in regards to Bungie kind of screwing themselves over and paying the price?
Yeah, we're starting to see that a lot. I think there's a lot of these companies that they take the fuck around and find out approach, and and they found out, unfortunately. Did it with Microsoft, did it with, now Bungie tried it with Sony. I always thought it was weird because when Sony actually bought Bungie, I thought it was kind of odd because the whole thing was Bungie was real big on wanting to be independent to begin with. And
to Sony's credit, they gave them the attempt to do that. They were letting them still do things.
Yeah, because that was the whole reason why they ended up getting kicked out of the whole Halo thing or whatever, is because they had a big spat with Microsoft over like the DLC and other stuff, I think, wasn't it? And
I think part of it, yeah.
They didn't like what Microsoft was, because I think Bungie wanted to make the DLC free or something. And Microsoft, nope, charge for it. And Bungie's like, okay, we don't really like working with these people or something like that. But
yeah, because originally they went to Activision. That's when they were doing Destiny.
Yeah,
which ended up becoming a whole mess and ended up being even worse of a situation they were already in. So,
quick aside though, because I just remember that was news too. Is when this is being talked about with Bungie folding into PlayStation, around the same time, Helldivers comes out with their newest trailer and drops the bomb that Halo ODST is coming to Helldivers, with everybody losing their mind. So
To be fair, that's probably the most
requested.
That's like the best crossover because basically
that's what even the developers back then wanted to do with a Halo
Yeah.
game. Is they wanted to make it like a Helldivers, and already, which I want to try out. Fortnite is already copying Helldivers because they have a shock, awe, and awesome mode where you take down bugs. But now you can play as like the Power Rangers with giant bazookas and stuff like that.
Oh, that was a great trailer they did with actual live action people. Like that was
so,
great.
so I was like, you know what? I might have to try to see how close it is to Helldivers.
Okay, I'd be down.
Was it in the Halo Forge? Somebody actually made a Helldivers mode where you play as ODST soldiers, and to be fair, the Helldivers, the actual Helldivers characters are basically kind of, I would argue, basically look kind of like ODST troopers.
Legally distinct.
Yes,
ODST troopers.
Kind of based off of ODST. So there's actually not a lot of. It's not going to take a lot to make that one work.
I hope they give us a permanent ODST armor we can buy.
They will.
I hate to admit it. I would put the money down and buy it.
It'll be a war bond. There'll be an ODST war bond. Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's a money maker.
Just like Killzone, that'll be a war bond.
Yep.
Killzone, maybe.
No, Killzone was free. Killzone they actually added for free, so maybe they'll do the same with ODST.
That was the apology. Yeah, that was the apology one. Yeah, sorry.
They added that stuff in for free, so actually maybe ODST might do the same thing. Who knows? It'll be interesting.
I think for a licensing deal, they're going to charge for it because both sides are going to make money off of it. Microsoft's going to want to make some money.
This time it's not a Sony owned brand, so
yeah.
Because I guarantee that was part of the agreement of how Sony decided to put it on Xbox, is because Microsoft eased off and let them include Halo content in it. So that's kind of the give and take, I think, for that.
Maybe we'll get Master Chief Collection at Gamescom for PlayStation.
Wouldn't surprise me at this point.
Do you think Master Chief will show up?
Switch 2 games.
Yeah, we still don't know what the hell happened with that. Microsoft didn't announce crap.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, we're pretty much seeing the end of Bungie by their own hand. Like they've made poor decisions. Like they made great games, but they really messed up. They what?
The Bungie cord has been cut. There's no bouncing back this time.
Yeah.
Yep. And speaking of cut cords, that takes us perfectly into our next story. So AOL has officially announced that as of September 30th, 2025, they will end all of their dial-up services, including so this is basically, they've had this running since the late 1980s when they were under a different company name and kind of became the height all the way through the 90s with dial-up internet. During that 28.8 and 56K day modems, before we had, DSL and eventually broadband actually come into play later on. But there's still a lot of people that are using dial-up now, especially in rural areas where running those cables may not be a feasible thing financially. So they're having to use phone lines. So hopefully they can find another way to stay connected. This also means the end of support for the AOL dialer software, as well as the AOL Shield browser, which was designed for older OSs, as well as dial-up connection specifically. So, pour one out. AOL is finally disconnecting. So,
shit. Didn't even realize that was still a thing.
Gonna have to go to AskJeeves.com and be like, now where do I go?
Yeah.
Most people forgot AOL was around because they quit sending you CDs for free. Diskettes and CDs for free trials. God, do you guys remember like the stacks of those things people used to get? Like it was ridiculous.
Yeah, I used to collect them for coasters.
That's how I got internet for a while. I would use up the time and then make a new email address and use up another disk. And that's how I had internet.
Yeah, honestly, if you're still using the AOL Shield browser, you're probably also using like Alta Vista to find your web searches.
Oh, God. Yeah, and Google Maps and stuff wouldn't even work. You're still pulling up Yahoo Maps. So, yeah, it's just, I thought that was so interesting because it is, like you said, something we didn't realize was still around. Like, I thought the dial-up for that had died decades ago. Like, I thought that was
hey, everybody, you guys were worried about game keycard servers going down, but yet AOL finally threw in the towel. But nobody's complaining about this one.
God.
You mean
Yeah,
like
but
discs won't no longer work?
somebody would have to try and connect, like dial into something that have hooked up to a router and then try and use that to connect. Like, I'm pretty sure like a switch would just be like, this is too slow. No, we're not doing this. Go find a Walmart and use their Wi-Fi. So yeah, thought that was kind of a fun one. So, all right, so on to our next little bit. So speaking of Nintendo, they have announced that Chibi-Robo will be added to the Nintendo GameCube Nintendo Classics for Switch 2 on August 21st, which is a fantastic game if you've never played it. Where you just get to be a little robot exploring a house as the family is tearing itself apart, and you're just trying to clean the floor.
Yes, it's the best one. The rest of them suck.
Amanda liked some of the other ones, but yes, this is the better one for sure. Like, she just has fun with the
one that
character.
the creator is really happy that it's being reintroduced to a new generation of people.
Yeah, definitely worth getting. But so out of the original trailer of what they showed for the games that they announced, this now leaves Super Mario Sunshine, Fire Emblem Path of Radiance, Pokemon XD Gale of Darkness, Luigi's Mansion, and Pokemon Colosseum as left to finally release. So that's probably what we're going to get over the next couple of months, because they're releasing about one of these a month almost. It seems like, or maybe a little bit more. Because we've got what? Not Mario Strikers, but there's a soccer one that we got. Was that Strikers? Or
Yeah, I think it was Strikers.
Okay, yeah, there was one of the other sports games I think that's also on this list. That's coming out.
I really hope we get the GameCube Mario Baseball, because that one's better than the Wii one.
That was a good one. That was a lot of fun.
Somebody online modded it for online play, and has leagues and trades and everything, and it's been amazing to watch that.
Oh,
one. Wow! But they recently interviewed the creator of Chibi-Robo, because he also made the game like Chilling by the Fire for Switch 2. And
Jesus, that's the group that did that?
He said he was inspired by Legend of Zelda. He wanted to make a Legend of Zelda game, but without the combat. So that's how Chibi-Robo came to exist.
Oh, okay.
As he's like, I want to make a Zelda game like Ocarina of Time and stuff, but he's like, I don't want combat. So he's like, this worked out perfect.
I'm still like, for platformers, I think it'd be fun. I still want to see if Sega will play ball and let him have Billy Hatcher on there eventually. But I don't see that as coming for quite a while. Like, it's going to be almost a year at least before we get through the initial run of games they showed. So I don't see us getting any oddball surprise titles.
I'd be interested in what gets to be the first, non-Nintendo character. Third party, because we got Soul Calibur because Link's in it.
Right.
But I'm like, what are we going to get from GameCube that has no Nintendo characters in it whatsoever?
I think from just a financial thing itself, I want to see Cubivore. Like, it was such a fun game, but it goes for so much money. It's just like,
we want Cubivore and Pokemon Box and
Pokemon Box. We're never gonna get that. That's never happening. But Cubivore, just like, that's like $600 or more for that freaking game. It's ridiculous. I have a modded GameCube I play it on just so I can play it on actual hardware, and I was like, I love the game, but sorry, I can't afford to pay for that. That's stupid. That costs more than my entire Switch too. Huh?
I can show you the box art if you want.
I hate you.
I bought it when everybody's like, "This game's stupid."
I wish I'd known more about it at the time, but I couldn't have.
Those are the best. Is when a game that everybody else like doesn't like, but you give it a chance, and then the game like appreciates as much as you appreciated it.
Right. Well, I mean, a lot of those I never sell any of my games, but it's still kind of fun to just be like, yeah, this one's kind of valuable. Why not? Well, speaking of Nintendo and how much things cost, let's talk about some of their sales numbers. So on the heels of announcing their record-breaking sales numbers of the Switch 2, Nintendo has announced that they have achieved over 5.9 billion in software units sold and over 860 million consoles sold globally in their lifetime, which is a lot. They stand to be the first company to hit over 1 billion in hardware sales over their lifetime with the Switch 2 if they keep up the sales, or at least whatever follows it up, even if this does remotely well. Their closest competition for this record is Sony, which has over 630 million consoles sold, which is impressive, which I'm sure as soon as Nintendo announces 1 billion, they'll announce, oh no, we sold some more PS2s. We actually had 1 billion way back in like 2010. We just didn't want to tell anybody.
We included some of the PlayStation Minis.
Right. Which actually would probably end up being negative sales. Those things were terrible.
I have Team Buddies on mine though.
Oh, there you go. I need to modify mine. But Sony selling 630 million is still impressive given the fact that by the time their first system came out, Nintendo had already sold the NES, the Game Boy, and the SNES. Like that's already three major systems down before Sony even began. So that's not bad for being that close. Like the PlayStation and especially the PS2 sold a lot. So I'm sure you
Good
guys
systems.
have played those. Yeah. I really did enjoy those. Like I was late to the PlayStation because I stuck with the N64. I had to choose, and that was my choice. That's where I laid. I was like, all right, this is what I'm getting. And I didn't regret it. Like I love my N64, but I have kind of built up an appreciation of PlayStation way later because I didn't get to play any of them myself or actually own one. I got to play it a little bit, but I didn't get one until I finally bought a PlayStation 2, which Gran Turismo 3 is what finally broke my back on that one and got me to order one. Because it was just such an impressive game. So, all right. Speaking of other impressive games, let's move on to, I guess I can't really call this an impressive anymore.
No, yeah.
Well, yeah, kind of. So PUBG Battlegrounds for PlayStation 4 and Xbox One will end its service on November 13th.
Fuck.
But will relaunch a new version for PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X and S the same day.
Fuck.
I used to play this a lot. I liked this game. I used to play with my friend Remy all the time. It was one of the first times I tried recording and streaming stuff. It was entertaining, but it was janky as hell. I don't know if you guys played this when it first came out. It was
It now
broken.
has because they did a collaboration with Capcom. It now has the ugliest Street Fighter characters you've ever seen.
Oh my god! Seriously?
Look them up. You're gonna be like, this is nightmare fuel. looks like it was drawn by GamePro artists. I was like, ooh.
Jesus, that is insulting in multiple ways that most people won't even understand anymore. Go look up GamePro, kids, and look at their art. They tried. That's the best I could say. So the update will include the expected, stable frame rates and things like that, visual improvements along with less crashes, which that's always good, and better memory-related optimizations on better hardware. They sent out example screenshots that provide, they do show a great increase to the draw distance, which is really nice because if you like to snipe, now you can see even further out, which is great because people used to kind of keep their distance and rely on a shorter draw distance. Like someone would be hiding in a bush, back up enough for that bush to clip out and see the person just sitting there and go, okay. So that'll be harder to do now. They did confirm that all your purchases and your account data will transfer over seamlessly to the new systems without any kind of transfer process needing to be done. So that's good. Like if you've upgraded and played it on the new systems, you'll just continue playing if you still enjoy it. I have to re-download it and try and remember if my stuff is still on there.
Is this Crafton's way of making you forget about Subnautica?
Maybe. We have not forgotten about it, even though they keep trying to throw a fit about that. We'll probably have an update on that legal battle here soon because it's been kind of heating up. PlayStation 5 users will need to download the specific PS5 edition of the game from the store on November 13th, but Xbox players will just launch the title as normal and it'll just update and move on. So that's the only difference they're going to have in regards to that. Once you have that done, you just play the game and it's fine. So I take it, Steven, you were never a PUBG fan at all? Did you ever try it out?
I like watching the videos, but at the time my computer couldn't run it. And by the time it came to consoles, there was better options for me.
Yeah, I played it
and
on
nobody
Xbox
had a good
One.
experience after a while because they're like, it crashed.
It did crash a lot. Chase, you seem like you would have been a PUBG person for a little bit. You just look like
actually,
the type.
Appreciate
but
that.
PUBG ran so Fortnite could fucking soar.
Yeah.
Because of PUBG, that Fortnite is what it is today.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah.
I will give you that.
PUBG walked and then started sprinting just so that way, Apex, Fortnite, Warzone, like all these.
Yeah, because Fortnite was the first one to be like, you know what's not working? Just build mode right now. What if we take that out and make it a battle royal like PUBG? And everybody's like, Fortnite's the greatest thing ever.
Yeah,
And then it
'cause there was
became esports and a big question and everything. So it's like, oh shit.
yeah, there was a time when because there was a time when PUBG was king of the hill. Like they were the big kid on the block, and they're kind of the ones that sparked this whole battle royale craze.
You got PUBG, then you got
Mhm.
DayZ, you got which is still around.
Yeah,
Even Elden Ring, Night Rain copies the formula.
I know
a little
PUBG's
bit.
popularity kind of waned a bit, like when Fortnite started building up and kind of doing that, because Fortnite originally was not a battle royale.
Battle royale.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was just like a zombie shooter with build mechanics, and people are like, all right.
Yeah, because I have that version on Xbox. Like I can still play that and mess around with it. Most people even forget it's there half the time now.
I remember when people didn't want to buy the because we had it for a while. I wish I bought it. The physical version of
I was
Fortnite
about
for
to mention it,
PlayStation
yeah.
4, and now because that's the only one on disc, and now
That's
like,
rare. Yeah. So, but I know PUBG had, they had the whole issue whenever they tried doing the mobile version, where people found out like it kept putting you against AI bots, but it would say it was people, because that was that whole controversy of where, and a lot of mobile games do that now. They, people just don't care, but at the time it was kind of an issue where you're like, oh, you're doing great, and you find out you're not actually playing against real people. They're just trying to make you feel like you're doing good, so you'll put more money into it and more playtime, and then they'll start feeding you an actual people once you've paid your dues, and whether you die or not, they don't care because they got your money. They don't give a shit.
Yeah.
So,
look at that Ryu for PUBG.
oh, that's better than I expected. I mean,
He
it's
looks
not,
like the kickboxer from Step by Step.
I don't know. I know Steven's not going to, but Chase, are you going to at least mess around with it for a few minutes just to see if it's
Winner,
how
winner,
it is?
chicken dinner.
I'll hop in there
Fine,
with
Ken.
you. You and I can play it
Um,
just to see what it looks like now.
Nah, I'm kind of off the whole battle royale craze, but I might give the Battlefield one because Battlefield 6 is going to come out with a battle royale, so I
True.
might give that battle royale mode a couple runs just to see what it's like.
I still have fun with battle royales. The problem is finding a good group that I want to play with. Like I enjoy Fortnite. I enjoyed PUBG. I don't like going into them by myself. Like I'd rather
I don't
go
like
in with
running
friends.
solos.
Yeah, it's just more fun. And I don't like playing with randoms. I never like playing with randoms on online games because it normally just ends up rough, with communication and so forth. It was fine back in the day for like Quake 3 Arena and so forth because that's all you had. There was no matchmaking. It was just, here's a server. Good luck.
Yep.
If you want to play online, you don't get to pick who you're with. So, who knows? All right, so let's jump over then to the speed run. So, Power Wash Simulator 2 has been officially priced at $24.99 for when it arrives at PS5, Xbox Series X and S, and PC later this year. Still, oddly, not a Switch 2 announcement. Kind of feels like this would be a perfect announcement to show off mouse mode. I hope to God they give them a dev kit. Like, come on. Like, because this game needs to have mouse mode.
I'm beginning to think that none of these are being announced for Switch 2 because nobody has dev kits except for Yacht Club Games.
I hate that I agree with you on this. Which I bet it just bugs the shit out of you that the No Man's Sky people got one. Hello Games has a dev kit.
Theirs doesn't use the mouse, so I don't know.
I think it can actually. I think it does have an option for that. So who knows? Next up, Spirit of Halloween has apparently launched their own NES game that works on actual NES hardware. And Steven sadly found out today he won't be getting it. Because Steven, tell us the story of this shit.
Well, it says when you order it ships within 3 days. So I ordered it on the 9th. Is it the 9th anymore?
No, it's the 16th.
It's the 16th. So I said, hey, it still says USPS is waiting for the package. And they're like, oh, we see you ordered it on the 9th. But as of today, it's sold out. So we're going to cancel your order and refund you. I'm like, but I ordered it when it was in stock.
The game stopped you.
So I was like, okay. Apparently, this is also coming to digital formats too. So you'll see it on the Switch and such. It's kind of almost along the lines of that Retro Realms with Mike Myers and stuff, where it's just supposed to be a fun platformer to play.
I wonder if
It
this is
looked,
just
it looked good.
I wonder if this is just Spirit of Halloween kind of practice running from when they eventually take over all the abandoned GameStop stores, so they can just start having this practice as they just start running them.
Man,
We're just going to cancel your pre-orders now.
it's pretty bad though.
It's fucking terrible.
Really bad.
And then lastly, PETA, People Eating Tasty Animals, has called for Nintendo to remove the nose ring from the Mario Kart World cow, because they're flipping out saying it's this horrible thing while completely ignoring the fact you can eat like a 4 or 5 patty deep burger, which means these things are being slaughtered and eaten, and the cow can eat them too, which is kind of a nightmare.
Or with a simple Google, you can find out like why they're necessary. They don't do that to bling out the cows. It's a necessary thing to do, and it's not uncomfortable and it doesn't hurt them. They do it for bulls and they do it for cows for a reason.
Yeah, that never stops them. They try and latch onto what they find popular and do stuff. Do you guys remember their attacks on Mario 3 back in the day with the Tanuki suit? Because they released.
I remember that one, but I also played their Pokemon game where you enslaved the Pokemon. And
I think I still have that downloaded.
And they died and stuff like that because they were like, Nintendo's promoting slavery with Pokemon. I'm like, you have a lot of games you're going to have to attack if that's your issue.
No shit. So remember, kids, PETA is not actually good for anything. They actually cause more harm than they do good. So fuck that group. All right, let's go over to the big question. So this week, Chase once again has an answer because he came up with this question.
Wow.
In an era filled with content creators and esports, what effects do you feel it has had or may have in the future on games and the industry as a whole, for good or bad? So Chase, we're going to start with you.
Take it away.
Because you won't look at me like a deer in a headlight this time. You'll just answer.
Yeah. I just always thought that this was an interesting topic.
No, it's fine. I just like giving you shit.
I think when you look at the amount of sway that some of these people have, or what esports has done, it is quite interesting. Like, it's kind of like the good, the bad, and the ugly, right?
Right.
I think there's some good things that come out of this stuff. Like, for instance, and I'll probably talk more about, like, say, like multiplayer shooters and whatnot. But for instance, like Rainbow Six Siege is a really good example. That game was dead on arrival, and it didn't have any traction. Nobody was playing it. It wasn't very good. But for some reason, esports lashed onto it. All of a sudden you had, was it like Rainbow Six League, RSL?
Yeah.
And all this stuff. You know, so then you had like Team Liquid, and, you know, you started to have like these professional teams and whatnot, and you had all these like massive like professional tournaments, and out of nowhere now this game is like super popular, does really well for Ubisoft, and it's quite interesting. Now, in the retrospective of that though, good luck being a new person and getting into Rainbow Six Siege, because the amount of sweats that are in that game because of esports is crazy. If you're not, and I think this is kind of segueing into kind of the bad and the ugly of what can happen with things. Because, like, for instance, in Rainbow Six Siege, if you're not running the same tactics that these teams are running, and if you're not running like super optimal setups, you're just not going to do well. Like, it's horrible. The Call of Duty's always been an interesting one, because now they have the CDL, and they've but then they also have this issue of Twitch streaming, and they have a lot of really popular Twitch streamers that stream their games, and those streamers tend to have clout, and they tend to do things like, oh, this weapon needs to be nerfed, or this weapon needs to be better, or they need to implement this. And so then they start to like push for for things, and then those things tend to happen. It's interesting, because like in Call of Duty multiplayer, back when I used to play Call of Duty multiplayer quite a bit with a couple mates of mine, it was, you basically couldn't run a game without everybody basically running almost the exact same loadout. And the problem is Call of Duty you had content creators that were going in and testing all of the guns, all of the attachments, and they were telling you what's the most optimal setups to run, what's the best, loadouts to run, and everything like that. And for a person, like for the average person that works, say, like 40 hours a week and then comes home and wants to play, say, like Call of Duty, because they're probably like casual gamer, but they, don't want to suck, they're going to go online, they're going to go on YouTube, see what's the best thing to run, and then they're going to, because they want to do good.
Right.
So then the problem is that's how you create metas, because now everybody's running the exact same thing, because if you run anything that's slightly less optimal, you're probably not going to do well.
Nobody wants to experiment anymore with it.
Yeah, was it like Monster Hunter kind of went through the same thing too? Like there was YouTubers out there that were creating like, this is the most optimal build if you want to max out your attack and things like that. And it's just kind of like, I feel like that is definitely something. It kills creativity. It can kill creativity quite a bit, because, and it's like, okay, well, you're not necessarily coming up with something on your own, in a sense.
Right.
Go for it.
The other part of that I've noticed before, that also leads to where a lot of people will demand that particular layout, where if they see someone like Monster Hunter, if they join a hunt, and this is part of why I hate playing with randoms, like I love playing the hammer, but if you didn't join and you didn't have this particular armor or this type of weapon, they would just kick you. Like, you have to have exactly this. If you didn't already have it, we don't want you there.
Didn't you guys get that in Space Marine too?
I think we did actually one time, where it's like,
you said you guys played with randoms, and one guy came in and he's like, nope, and he left.
Yeah, I just immediately left. Like, because we're not particularly set up for a certain way. He's like, oh, you're not really here to do this. And it's like, we're just here to have fun. Like,
yeah,
we're just here to do it. And it becomes almost toxic in that regard, where, you're absolutely right. You lose all creativity, or playing with different sets, or trying things, or just having fun. But, sorry, go ahead, Chase.
Yeah, like I think YouTube will probably be able to talk more about esports and what it's had on instance with the fighting game community, but obviously the FGC, it's had a massive impact on the fighting game community.
Oh yeah.
I think, and Swan especially I think he's gonna have a few words to say about the collecting community. And some content creators that have had an impact on the collecting community.
Games that they're not gonna like.
I got some good and bad on mine too. So,
and I'm curious to see, because I remember back when it used to be, what was it, MLG, and it used to be like RTS games. Like that was, it used to be huge with the RTS community, and then
StarCraft for life.
Yeah, absolutely.
That was a whole country dominating.
Yeah, pretty much, wasn't it? And then because then it started to get into fighting games, and then first-person shooters like
Counter-Strike.
Yep. Yeah, so it's
Counter-Strike was
it's interesting.
Still crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy to see how it's evolved as a overall, but so I'm curious to hear what your guys' thoughts are on it as well.
Okay. I'm probably gonna go next on this one. So I'm kind of looking at it over the long range of starting back when we first started having content creators, and the earlier, as you said, esports and stuff in regards to, RTSs and so forth, like the whole building up of that, like StarCraft we mentioned, that became like an ongoing joke almost, because, I think it was like Korea for a lot of it, like, oh, that's all they're doing is playing these things. But it got to the point of like how many clicks per second, like things, even back then, would build up. You have to have certain levels. You have to play a certain way, certain strategies, the only way to win. And it became less of how certain players would treat it like chess, where you can have different opening moves and different strategies and, work around those things. And it came down to number manipulation of how fast you can do certain things or whatever. And if you didn't play those ways, there was not ways to get around them. And this is before games could easily be patched to update things, so it would kind of lock out entire titles. which I think led to the demise of some games. People would do that so much, the game couldn't be fixed fast enough that people just stopped playing it. They literally got so good that they ruined the game they were good at. Like, and that kind of put a sour on a lot of people for online stuff. Now, in regards to content creators, you had some good ones that came up over time talking in different ways, and they usually would, they'd have their own little styles. That's where we had Angry Video Game Nerd and things like that from back in the day, which he, acted in certain ways, but had actual information to give and would kind of, show things or teach things. And, it became his job, but he does other stuff as well. Some of them took that to such an extreme, which ended up with the content creators that really, I think, damaged it for a lot of people. What was it? What was the one that was filming stuff in the bathroom? Like,
Dr. Disrespect.
That asshole. Like, his whole thing of like pushing that you've got to be the best of this and just angry about stuff. And if you're not playing this certain way, you're crappy. And I'm like, I hate people like that, because you're not helping games at all. You are pushing just for your own thing. And it's like, you're trying to be a wrestler that couldn't wrestle. Like, that's the mindset you're trying to go for, but it spreads to other people. And I think that's the bad side. Like, where you've got creators that do more positive things that want to teach stuff or enjoy stuff. And there are people that go around that. Like, there's some of the ones my kids would watch, like Markiplier. I didn't watch his stuff that much, but the things that I saw were they were funny. They were more positive. I wasn't hearing seeing a bunch of stuff of like he, doing all these things or getting into scandals. He just had fun with games and shared that. And we need more people like that for doing content, because I think we have this race to the bottom with people being negative or cocky, and kids and other people see this and they want to emulate it. And that's kind of the problem. Like, I'm not trying to edit what people are doing, but be mindful of the audience you have and that strength and power you have from it. Because that gets really bad for people really fast. Like I said, people that were dealing with Dr. Disrespect, that ended up costing us one of the people that used to be on our Discord, who was involved with doing the show with me prior, because he was so diehard with that, trying to emulate it himself, that when all this evidence of what this fucker did of, messing with kids and doing stuff like that, he still refused to believe that was that. He had to still be this because he's got to be in that squad, and was trying to emulate it himself with what he was doing. And I was like, all right, I can't have that around here. And I banned him from the Discord and said, I'm sorry, we can't be friends anymore. Like, it's just gotten to such a level we had to disconnect from that. And so I've seen firsthand how bad these things can influence people if you're not mindful of it. And I know we're not perfect angels. We are content creators ourselves, but we're doing this just for the heck of it. Yes, we use some dirty words. We make a lot of weird jokes. Steven just hates No Man's Sky.
And Majora's Mask.
and Majora's Mask. I was trying to be nice, you son of a bitch. But we still like to have fun with it, and I try and still be more of a positive outlet for it. I think this is part of why I try and focus, like older versions of the show, it was starting to lean towards negativity for the sake of numbers. And I did not want to do that. I still don't want to do that. Like, we can be upset about things or talk about things that happen, but I don't want us to have a popularity based on how negative and angry we are. I would rather be a small show that does this because we enjoy it. I want to be something positive for people to enjoy and talk about and have actual debates. Because it's too easy to get into the temptation on the other side to just throw your soul away to try and get those numbers while being so freaking hateful about things. I don't want that. And I've tried really hard not to, and I hope I've at least come across that way. So esports has gone back and forth. You've had controversies and so forth, but I view that as much as legitimate sports. You're going to have good and bad. That's going to depend on the players, your managers, what, phases they go through. There's been so many controversies in football, baseball, hockey, everything else. Esports is going to have the same things. content creators is kind of more of an open source for people to funnel the good and bad without as many filters. So it kind of needs to be watched a little bit more. You know, I get people want to have that side of it and you're free to have it. Just be careful of how much content you take in and how you let it affect your decisions. Because when you take it to the point that your personality changes because of it, that you want to emulate this because you look up to people that are being this shitty to people on purpose, you might want to step back and find something else. So that's my rant on it. Steven, what about you?
So I want to start off by saying these two guys said everything wrong, and they're both schmucks. No, I'm just kidding.
That's it, you motherfucker.
Get good, scrub.
Yeah, no, I'm here to give you the good, the bad, and the ugly.
That's fine. Go for it.
As well as a fun little story at the end.
Okay.
So in the good aspect, we're looking at with content creators and esports is speedrunning communities in general are amazing. They put a focus on a game that you might have overlooked. They build communities around games that are either good, bad, or just downright forgotten, and you just get more and more into playing the game, and then like, oh, can I play this game as fast? And it got to the point where now it's making millions of dollars for everything from Doctors Across Borders, cancer societies, and such. So that's where I get the good part is there's a lot of these good charities. So as long as you're not the completionist, there's a lot of good charities out there that you can play these games for. These content creators they join together. It's basically they may be playing a game a fun way, or they do like the Penn and Teller's desert bus ride for charity, which somebody has to play that as long as they can. So again, those are parts where I feel a lot of that's gone great. And you have stuff like Evo that has ballooned into where they have Evo France, Evo Singapore, Evo Japan. They're everywhere. It's gotten to the point where Chris and I are seriously talking about trying to go to Evo next year.
Nice.
If not Evo, maybe MagFest. We want to finally go to a gaming convention because Chase has always talked about it, and now it's getting to us that we're not getting any younger.
Let me know which ones you try and go for. Maybe I'll try and squeeze in there as well.
There you go. Now let's go to the bad of all these things. And while you do have cheaters out there, and you have all these anti-cheat systems that have had to be put in there, unfortunately, because of esports, I think that's what kind of brought in the pay to win. Because now there was a certain reward now for being the best. So you can't just be like, well, I got the highest kill ratio on Call of Duty. Nobody cares. But if you're on an esports team, or if you have the best guns and your account's worth this much, now you have this clout going around. So clout has kind of soured some of esports to the part where you don't even hear about some of the ones like the StarCraft and such. And I remember when they tried Overwatch, but nobody even talks about that being an esport anymore, even though they made a logo for it. Like Blizzard went all out saying, like, look how crazy this is. And everybody's just like, now there's better games than Overwatch that do it better. So I wouldn't be surprised if Marvel Rivals gets in on then. And they have their own tournaments in their game, which I think is a little bit better because now stuff is more self-contained and has a better... there's no overreach with somebody else kind of manipulating it. It's the people who made the game are running the tournaments, which I think is a lot better. But again, you're always going to have bad actors. So
look at the Smash Brothers community, what they did.
Yeah, most of the Smash Brothers champions, except for the more recent ones now, have just been horrible people. And it's just, come on, guys, don't give the company a bad name, because now like any players associated with that are just horrible people, and
people wonder why Nintendo locks this stuff down and controls it.
Yeah. So yeah, there's that. But then we get to the ugly, and I'm going to name drop people like Metal Jesus Rocks, because when you have to make a video apologizing in the most pandering way that we're sorry our hidden gems made the games we own more expensive, we didn't intend to do that. I was just like, when you did your game room tour, because you said you used to work for Valve, like um like we see that you're a shelf collector, and whether people come at me that he's not, or it still looked to me as he was, that he just bought his collection and didn't have memories associated with a lot of them. He would just be like, well, I live across the street from Pink Gorilla and I make lots of money, so I'll just buy everything Pink Gorilla gets. So he was just buying all the rare stuff they get in. And it's one thing to make content, but then when you're talking with this other guy and you're constantly talking about rarest, they only made this many, you're putting FOMO into people's eyes. So instead of concentrating on the game itself, is the game good? And concentrating on that, you are talking too much about and spreading like, that it's worth so much. So you're basically making that the scarcity is because of a content creator, and that's the worst thing that can happen is you get scarcity due to a content creator just saying you can flip it for a quick buck, and that's why
I can't get Cubivore without missing 2 car payments.
And then now there's actually people out there who will go to these places and they buy video games just to flip. They don't buy them to collect.
Yeah,
and that hurts because you'd rather somebody who wanted that game to find it there instead of somebody who's just like, oh, I can't wait to flip these. And overall, like, I think in the future, we're starting to see the bubble burst with live service games starting not to, people are getting fatigued. There's too many out there. And you either have a very good plan of how you're going to do your seasons or you don't. And if it's mismanaged in any way, the players are going to leave. They're like multiverses. They're just going to be like, you got us to buy all this stuff for a game, and then you said the game was a beta and we're going to re-release it later. So all these people who had put money into the game just helped kickstart the beta. It's like,
yeah.
So we're seeing a lot of mistakes being made. We're seeing layoffs because of it too. We're seeing other live games come and go. And it used to be that we would never hear any of these. Like, it would be far from it that we would hear some of these get taken down. And now we're hearing like, oh, they're stopping service. And again, we're getting fatigue on that. But funny story from all this is there was a year that Christian and I, when we went to E3, we had our website up, and that gave us at the time media badges. So I was very interested in kind of the behind the scenes approach of these companies. So we would get appointments to try out their games and ask questions. And I would have my booklet. I'd write all this stuff down and get the insight. A lot of times I forgot to post some of it on the website, and I just like had the knowledge for myself, which was great. However, this one year in particular, of all the appointments we were making, there was this one company that couldn't afford a booth, and they told Chris and I, like, we can schedule something, but we're a small little group. If you want to check out our game, though, you'd have to leave the building and go across the street. We got a little corner set up in this bar to play our game. And Chris and I are just like, that's a lot. Like, they couldn't even afford a booth, and they want us to go out there. And I was just like, I like supporting small people. Like, I got to see Telltale Games and stuff when they were just like a little cubicle. And I was like, they can't even afford those little cubicles in Kensha Hall or something. And I was just like, I don't know, Christian, let's not see these. And he's like, yeah, you're right. They're probably not going to amount to much. I still have their invite. So the company was called Riot Games. And they were showing off a game that they had created called League of Legends that they hoped would be big in esports world. And I was just like, that's not going to be anything.
This is why Steven's not an analyst. Well, actually, he could have been an analyst because they get everything wrong.
Yeah, usually they get probably like the weather people about 33% right. That's about all you got to get.
I always have to explain this to people. When they say it's 30% chance of rain, it means 30% of their coverage area will get rain, not 30% chance that you will get it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's always a weird. Every time someone says that, I'm like, I have to explain this. It's almost like a nervous tick.
There's a 100% chance that another Sony game is going to get canceled.
Okay. Yeah. There you go.
And Microsoft, don't forget them.
Yeah, so 70% chance of games being canceled can cover any of them. I had 1 year I got to go to Comic-Con San Diego, International Comic-Con, and have a media badge. There's only one time I ever got to do it, and that was a trip for trying to get over that and deal with it. But I do remember like Comic-Con did have a lot of places set up outside. Like even Nintendo was a separate building. Like they would go and they had this little big spot set up outside of it. I've never been to an E3, nor will I ever, because they don't have them now. We're supposed to get something in the next year or so. We'll see what they do, but I don't think it'll ever be up to the heyday of it. But yeah, running into a lot of that stuff. I'm glad you brought up the charities in regards to the good side of what a lot of these groups do with the content creators and so forth. Like that is a big thing they have to do. But even on that side, on the bad side of the creators, that's what leads to issues like why Nintendo's had to recently do this whole thing with, the Japanese version of Games Done Quick. Not they inspired by it, but not actually by it, because, corporations and so forth, you need to get permission because you don't always know how these people are going to be, because they're doing great right now. But just like you mentioned, the completionists, there was people pumping money into doing stuff for that. And he was trying to do charity work. And then it turned out that, there was a whole bunch of scandal about that in regards to his family and other things with it.
Misappropriated funds.
Right. And people see that. And all of a sudden groups that were directly connected to him were trying to distance themselves because they're being pointed as part of it. And every company, Nintendo or not, is going to have to do that. And that's because of the bad apples in a lot of these groups cause those problems. Same reason Nintendo doesn't directly support like a lot of the Smash Brothers groups. It's not because they hate them or, don't want it competitive or whatever, but because they've been really shitty groups. Like there's been some horror stories coming out of these people of people messing with kids or, assaulting women and doing all these other things. And it's like, you need to clean yourselves up better and kind of control what is going on in these environments to make them safe for the players to be there. So no company is going to want to be it. If you had a Street Fighter group that was doing the stuff that the Smash Brothers groups were doing, Capcom would burn their asses. Just done. Just get rid of them. Which is why they are directly connected to a lot of their own things that they run. And they will get permission from everybody that's doing it and all that. These companies don't mind working with charities. They all do charity work. They all do things. You just have to fill out your paperwork because they have to cover their ass. And that's kind of happening because of the dark side of a lot of these things that we talked about. Not so much just in esports, because that's highly contractual, just like sports. But the actual content creators and so forth doing things, they have to be able to know, because you have one face of what you're showing to everybody and another side of your legal aspect of it that they need to look into as well. Because it's too easy for people to claim sainthood and be a devil on the other side. Like happens way too damn much.
All the time.
Yeah. Like I said, it's noticeable the times that it's a person is actually being good and is good. And there's been times where people purposely act bad, but are actually good. Like that's sometimes, that's just the face they put forward. It's the way they act for stuff. Once again, that goes back. You see a lot of people in wrestling that does that. They play the heel, but the actual person may be good for, what they're doing or whatever. Or they're a complete piece of shit like Hulk Hogan. And whatever. But yeah, I think that's, unless you guys have anything else you want to add about this, I think it's a pretty good place to wrap this up. Chase, you have anything else? Because I know this is your question. Go for it.
Swan brought up a good one, actually, that I kind of glazed over, was the cheating aspect of cheating is absolutely rampant in professional leagues. Absolutely rampant. I remember when, what was it? Like the top player in Call of Duty, I think it was Tacitus or whatever his gamer tag was at the time, he got dobbed in for cheating. He got found out. cheating is absolutely rampant in the esports of F1. The F1 esports community is like,
Really?
and it's yeah, like and these are sponsored by actual racing teams like Williams Racing and Alpine Racing and McLaren Racing, and they have the actual F1 teams have esports drivers, and it's cheating is absolutely rampant. Like there was a big scandal going on with the Williams Racing team using cheats in their games, and like people know that they're doing it, but nobody has the balls to actually come out and just like openly talk about it because they're afraid that they'll get sued and stuff. It's crazy. And I think part of that is because slightly because cheating is also rampant in professional sports. Like it's happened. There's been scandals and controversies
Really?
from the, like over, back, because like back here, and I'll kind of bring this up about a real sports. So over in New Zealand and Australia, cricket is a big sport here. Not like baseball in America, but in a famous game, Australia versus New Zealand, big rivalry cricket game, the bowler, as they're called, or we'd call them the pitcher in baseball, but the bowler, it's one of the Aussie bowlers, actually had sandpaper in his pocket. It was this, and he would rub the ball on sandpaper so that way the ball would have a better grip once he bowled it, because you bounce it off the pitch. And so it was like this little competitive advantage that they were using to try to get over the New Zealand batsman. And then they got caught and this whole facade came out. And they had to finally come out and admit it. And one of the things that they talked about was that, because especially in Aussie, like Aussie's real big on cricket. And they said the amount of pressure there was to win by people was, like they said that they're not proud of what they did, but they said that they were just under a lot of pressure to win from, say, the public and obviously from the cricketing organizations and things like that. And so they said it just got to a point where we was like, well, how do we like get this fraction of a percent better to like, potentially have that advantage and to win and stuff. And I think you see the same thing translated to esports. Like, how do we get better? You've already got like the top 1% of people that are like cracked out of their mind and stuff. So now it's like, well, how do they get better? Well, are they getting better because they're just playing the game more and finding out new strategies? Or are they getting better because they're cheating? Essentially,
aim assists and stuff like that.
Yeah, and they're just getting better at hiding that. So
it's like, you remember the home run derby, that whole scandal in the 1990s with Mark McGuire and all that stuff, when it can't, people, Barry Bonds, all that, whether it's like who's using what steroids. And
Barry Bonds was an interesting one, because Barry Bonds, like, he openly admitted that he did it, but he also just said, he's like, you expect me to have less of an advantage than these guys? Like, he blew the whole lid on everything.
Yeah.
He was honest about it. And like, he's just like, what, you expect me to not take him and then be worse than that guy? So that way I don't get the contract. Okay. Yeah, right.
Go ahead, Steven.
So I'm the hot take on that issue, because
oh boy.
For me, with the few games I've gone to, like, some American sports have been largely dull. So I'm just like, you know what? Football's been doing it and just coming out of the woodwork and stuff like that. It's one thing to steal plays or steal signals. Don't do that. But if you can give yourself an advantage, I don't care. It probably makes it more entertaining.
I think
I didn't mind that Sammy Sosa and Mark McGuire were hitting banger after banger. I quite enjoyed that, because I'm like, I just want to see more people like beat the hell out of the ball. Same thing with when they interviewed Bill Romanowski, and he's just like, I sprayed Pam all over my clothes so you couldn't grab me. And when we got a huddle, I looked for fingers to break, no matter if it was my teams or the other teams. I broke those fingers, and I was just like, this is awesome.
See, stuff like that, well, terrible. I think the steroid use, the concern with that is the pressure, like Chase was talking about, to be better, led people to do things, especially in sports with those things, that could be physically harmful to themselves. Like they should never, like, I know it's your entertainment, but I don't want them to have to do something that is harming them in doing these things. Like that's a little bit of a different level of cheating. I think that's not great. I always think of the old Saturday Night Live skit where they had like the all drugged Olympics. They were like, we just allowed for everything. And they had the guy doing the weightlifting and he rips off his own arms, blood spurting out. And he's just sitting there fine. They're like, boy, when he comes down off that high, he's going to realize what happened. And
like you get an asterisk next to your home runs. Oh no. I'm like,
yeah, okay. I mean, I get that, but I'm not talking about that part of it, but like the physical harm it did to the people themselves. Like that's the concern. It's like that kind of ongoing steroid use can damage the body.
But the problem with that is sometimes it's their choice and other times their PR responses, I've been pressured. So I don't take any sob stories from the pressure of anything.
Oh, I know, but I mean, it's like I said, you do feel that pressure when you have to succeed. You've got to do better. You've got to compete with these people.
Either need to be it needs to be really heartfelt because like Mark McGuire and Sammy Sosa just went up and they're like, you don't know how much pressure we're under. I'm like, I don't believe that 1 second because you said that with a straight face. But if you're like showing like obvious, regret in what you've done, then maybe I'll believe you. But if you're just going up there and being like, I was pressured, there's a lot of pressure in baseball. I'm just like, you're saying that with a straight face, and then you're going out to the stripper club afterwards. I'm like, I'm not going to believe you.
Yeah, well, I do kind of get what you say, Swat. I do actually, I don't have any doubt that both, say like professional athletes, say like in baseball or football, and professional athletes, because they're recognized professional athletes in esports, I don't have any doubt that they do feel a lot of pressure because they're making a really good sum of money to do what they do. And the minute that they start to decline in anything, these teams have no problem cutting them and replacing them with somebody else that will do what they do better. So I do feel that I do believe that they do feel a bit of pressure. And there's always pressure, especially, say like in, not so much like, well, in American sports, there's definitely pressure from like the cities and the communities and stuff. And then you take that into like some of these other sports, like, for instance, soccer, rugby, cricket, where you have the World Cups and you're representing your country. You've got a whole country behind you.
Those I can understand the pressure because we have the World Series, which means nothing. It's not the World Series.
Yeah, it's so weirdly named.
So
it was named after a newspaper, I think.
So it doesn't mean anything to us and stuff like that. But when it's like the World Cup, like you read people who like scored their own goal and then all their fans went out and shot the guy and killed him. Like you have some horror stories because you're not representing your city, you're representing your country. Yeah. So if you have a whole country against you, then you might as well be president of the United States. So it's like, what is happening?
That is fantastic. Thank you, Stephen. I appreciate the hell out of that. Yeah.
And on that note, I think this is a great
Good night, everybody.
Yeah, we're not aiming for that side of the political line to like us, so fuck off. All right.
We'll contact you next week after we've been visited by the Secret Service.
Watch us on South Park. Okay.
Yeah, I would love to show up on South Park. I say that, and it's probably like, that is the monkey's paw of wishes. Like, I want to be on South Park. Are you sure?
Yeah.
This ain't like The Simpsons. You hope you can laugh at yourself. All right. Well, this has been episode 184 of the Zenspath Entertainment Network podcast. Thank you once again, Stephen and Chase, for joining me. And we're out. Peace.
Stop cheating.
Jinkies.
I said it earlier.
Yeah.
This has been a production of the Zenspath Entertainment Network podcast by the staff at Zenspath.com. The show is created and edited by Jeremy Powers. You can find the video edition of the show on our YouTube channel at ZenspathCom. The audio edition is located wherever you find your podcasts. Links to all versions of the show, as well as to our Discord where you can talk with us directly, is located at www.zenspath.com. Please leave us a like, thumbs up, comment, and review where you can to help us grow.